Hey guys, so we literally just finished the match between Rossi and I, and as I was about to put it into the encoder and start setting it up, I realized that my mic was not turned on throughout the entire match, so I lost all of my in-game commentary. I'm really sorry, guys. Hopefully this won't happen again. I'm really disappointed that happened this match though, because it was a really fun match, and I thought I had really good in-game commentary at least. So I'm really sad that I lost that. So here I am doing uh, a post match commentary. Literally, like it's like match happened 2 minutes ago. So yeah, going into the match, I saw that he did not have Crocodile at all, which meant Rotom could Volt Switch as much as he wanted to. Um, and then looking at the rest of his team, obviously he has the Ninetales Venusaur, so he's going to try to set up some kind of Sun Sweep. He also had the Victini, so there was a chance either Venusaur or Victini was going to be Z Celebrate. Wasn't sure which. However, since he did have the Ninetales already, I was thinking it was probably going to be the Victini at the time, just because it was more likely. But I was keeping my eye out for the Venusaur with the Z Celebrate or Z Happy Hour, whichever one it gets. They're the same thing. But then, of course, he had the Aggron Chansey Core. Really difficult to break through. I did have the Scrafty. And then last, of course, he had the Suicune for the last well-rounded wall. So let's put it in here really slow. Actually, we'll just do slow for now, and I might pass the route. So yeah. Hold on, let's move this real quick. Never mind, it's not going to move. So yeah, he leads off with a Ninetales and Rotom. I'm just going to go for a Volt Switch as he stays in Fire Blasts. I do take a good chunk, so obviously I'm not defensively invested at all. But then I do a really nice chunk back. That's going to be important for later on. And then I'm just going to switch out to Altaria. Allows me to set up my Mega Evolution and just go for a Return here. Return was not going to 2A KO the Ninetales. It did about like 20%. But obviously Ninetales has nothing for Altaria, so he has to switch out there. So he goes into Suicune. So I'm going to pause it real quick. So that return damage, I don't know, or I didn't know. I still had to talk to Rossi about it. What kind of set it was, because no HP, no defensive investment should have done like a maximum of 21-22%. Return did almost 25%. So I was like, he had to have like less IVs or minus defensive nature. So I was really confused, but that did mean that Celebi puts in a lot of work against the Suicune, obviously being a physical set. But I was just keeping my eye out for the Suicune set because, based on my calculations, he had zero defensive investment, which was really weird. But I'm just going to go for a U-turn because obviously Suicune does not... or actually, no, he did stay in this time. No, he went for the Toxic. But now I'm going to go for a U-turn because obviously Suicune does not want to stay in against the Celebi. And obviously I do have the Natural Cure, so the Toxic does do a little bit of shit damage, but it's going to get cured as I switch out. Going into Nidoqueen, I'm just going to set up my rocks here because Venusaur... if he does have an Earthquake, he did not do a KO me, so it's a pretty safe go in to get my rocks. Those rocks are going to be extremely important, as you guys see later down the road. As he goes into Chansey, so obviously I can do nothing to it. I'm just going to go in for Scrafty as he sets up a Wish. And here I'm just going to go for a knockoff, because obviously the Wish will heal off any damage that knockoff does, but I can either get rid of an item or see a Z Crystal, as we're about to see right here as I go for the knockoff. If Victini wasn't holding a Z Crystal, the knockoff actually would have killed. But as we see, there is no item, so we do see a Z Crystal, and we know that he is Z Celebrate, most likely Z Celebrate, as we see right here. So Z Celebrate was actually extremely bad for me. I think the only thing that could take one hit was an Altaria, but Altaria can't do anything back to Victini at all. It only has Return and Fire Blast, obviously both resisted. The only other thing that could take a hit was Vaporeon. If he was physical, a Bolt Strike did a maximum of 98%, so it was effectively just sacrificing my Vaporeon. But it was the only thing that I could do to really take care of this Victini. However, as we're about to see here, he is a special and goes for Energy Ball, which I'm able to tank, only doing 48%, and I'm able to phase him out with Roar, getting rid of that Z Celebrate boost. And he goes into Ninetales. He resets up the Sun, which is a little unfortunate. And I I'm going to decide to stay in and go for Wish because I know it could take a Solar Beam. And then I'm going to go out into Rotom, get that nice free switch in to it to get it back up to full. As you see, Solar Beam does nothing, and I get back up to full with Rotom. I'm just going to go for a Volt Switch here, because as I said at the beginning, he has no Crocodile, so that's absolutely free. It's free chip, and he's going to let his Ninetales go down, so that means once this sun is over, no more sun for him, no more, like, V-Create, no more sun-boosted Venusaur. So here is my major misplay of the game. So I decided that Vaporeon was still useful because he does have the Suicune and it does hard wall the Suicune. It's also really nice against the Chansey. Against the Chansey, I could put the 7 Wish and get it back up to healthy. Obviously, also nice for the Victini since I see that he is special instead of physical. It also helps against the Aggron too since it resists the Heavy Slam. And I wasn't sure, so I did think that he was going to go for growth. However, I decided that he was going to want to get rid of the Vaporeon right off the bat and go for a grass move. So I decided to switch out here into Scrafty as he decides to go for the growth. And here is when my heart starts racing because nothing could take a hit from Venusaur at all. Like, it literally OHKOs at this point every mon on my team. So I had to stay in with Scrafty and go for the knockoff, let him sack me. Obviously he has a Solar Beam. So when I see the Solar Beam, I realize that he has Growth, Solar Beam, probably Sludge Bomb for Altaria, and probably HP Fire for the Scizor. So I know once the sun is gone, he effectively does not have a grass type move to go for. So once I see that, I know I have to wait out the sun, which has 3 turns left. So here I decided to go. I forget actually what I went into. Yeah, I went into Vaporeon. I decided to sack it because I knew something had to die. And looking at where the rest of my team was at, the HP they were at, and the rest of his team, I decided Vaporeon had kind of done its job. Even though it would be really nice for the Suicune, but HP it's at, it's not taking a hit from Celebi, it's not taking like an Earthquake or a Stone Edge from Aggron, and if Chansey has Seismic Toss, it's also not taking a hit from that either. So I decided to just sack Vaporeon because it was the least valuable member of my team at this point. And here I decide to try to bait him, so I go into Altaria, because and with Altaria, he has seen the return. He probably figures I have Earthquake or some other coverage move, so he knows he has to go for a Sludge Bomb here. So I decide to make the double out into Nidoqueen to take the Sludge Bomb. Obviously, it does nothing, and now the sun is gone. So here I decide to go into Celebi, thinking he might go for the grass move, but he decides to predict that and go for HP Fire. Which does a huge chunk, but now there's no more sun, and I could just go for the Zen Headbutt and knock the Venusaur out. So that is that threat out of the way. It did a huge dent in my team, and at this point, I was thinking I'm gonna lose, because it was 4v4. 2 of my mons are pretty far weakened. One of them has no offensive, or actually, and the other 2 have no offensive investment. We're just defensive sets. So I was thinking I was going to lose here, but I was not giving up yet. So here I go for the U-turn, and I go into the Rotom, predicting like a Heavy Slam or an Earthquake or something. But he decides to go for the Stone Edge, predicting that it does knock out my Rotom, unfortunately. So Rotom would have been really nice to have, obviously, because it has Volt Switch, could get really nice chunk damage off on the Aggron and other stuff. But here I go for the Earth Power, gets a huge damage. So with this damage, I realized that he is not specially defensive at all. It looks like he is max HP, max attack adamant. So at 35%, I know Altaria can kill it with a Fire Blast. So after going for this Earth Power here, I decide that I don't really need the Nidoqueen anymore. Because obviously it doesn't do much to the Suicune. Victini outspeeds it and does a huge chunk with Psychic move, and Chansey is obviously a special wall, so it's not going to do anything. So I decide that it's fine for me to let Nidoqueen go, and I decide to get on my Toxic Spikes instead. which is going to be really pivotal. And I also figured he might switch out as well, trying to preserve his aggron for the physical Celebi. So I set up my Toxic Spikes as he goes out into Chansey. So I set up my extra layer of Toxic Spikes here. As he sets up a Wish, I'm going to stay in and go for an Earth Power in case he tries to go out into the Agrons to make sure that that thing does not get back up to full. As he goes out into the Nidoqueen, as he goes out into the Suicune, obviously going to get back up to full with the Wish. Here, unless he's like really especially offensive, which he might be with my sets earlier, and has Ice Beam, he can't do anything to Altaria, so I'm just going to go into that. Unfortunately, he does get the Skull Burn, so I have to waste a turn going for Heal Bell instead. As he's allowed to, what does he do here? I think he roars. Yeah, he does roar, and actually phases me out to Celebi, which puts me in an incredibly good position, because he sees I'm physical, probably has Seed Bomb. Suicune does not want to take a Seed Bomb, so I know he has to switch out here, so I'm just going to go for the U-turn. As he goes out into Chansey, which allows me, that allows me to go into my Altaria and just get a free return off. We're going to see he does stay in and go for a Toxic, which will start to put a little wear and tear, but I do have Heal Bell, so at any time if I want to, I can get rid of the Toxic. But I decide to just go for the return because I don't want him to like try to set up a Soft Boiled or a Wish or anything. Get rid of that Chansey, which means that Nidoqueen can come in and click Earth Power without worrying about anything. Here he goes into Aggron, which to me says that he thinks I have Earthquake instead of Fire Blast. So he's not predicting the Fire Blast at all, so I can just stay in. Fire Blast does connect and gets with the Aggron. At this point, I'm like, oh shit, I can actually win this thing. Because if I win the Speed Tie with Victini, it is at full, so I do have to get a little bit of chip damage, which the Stealth Rocks and the Toxic Spikes can do. If I get the Speed Tie with it, and then I win, because obviously the Z Seed Bomb will take care of the Suicune. So down goes Aggron as he goes into Victini here. I believe I just go ahead and sack the Altaria. He goes for the Dazzling Gleam. I live on 2%, so I get some nice chip damage. And Altaria is going to go down here. So at this point, I was really worried because at the HP that Nidoqueen was at, a Psychic, even unboosted from Celebrate, would kill. However, looking at it, he had Celebrate, Energy Ball, and Dazzling Gleam, and I figured he has to have a Fire-type move for the Scizor. Otherwise, Scizor totally walls Energy Ball, Dazzling Gleam, and Psychic. So I go out into the Nidoqueen here, hoping, crossing my fingers, that he doesn't have a Psychic-type move, which I'm about to see he does not. He goes for the Searing Shot, I live, and I'm able to get the Earth Power off and take out the Victini. At this point, I know I've won. Even if Suicune does have, like, Protect and is able to block some of the Z move, I know that after the Z move, going to Protect and then Seed Bomb will be able to take care of the Suicune. So I just let Nidoqueen go down, no point risking a crit on the Celebi, and I just go into Celebi and click the Z move, and we are going to win this game. Right after this, I'm really disappointed that I lost the in-game commentary due to Mike not being on. I was like freaking out at this point. I was like, holy crap, I could not believe I actually pulled that match off. As soon as I saw the Z growth from Venusaur, I was like, I lost this game. There's no way I can pull it back. But due to a couple predictions, him not expecting the mixed Altaria, and I think he still could have pulled it back if he had gone out into Suicune instead of staying in and going for the Searing Shot on Nidoqueen. He might have been able to pull it back depending on who won the speed tie between Celebi and Victini. But yeah, this was a really awesome game. It was a fantastic game to start off Season 1. And yeah, so thanks for tuning in, guys. I'll see you next week for our next match. And I just hope the rest of the season will be as awesome as this game. Bye, guys.